Hello guys, Omni here. I just got back from one of the pre-screenings of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and before we get too far into everything, I want to kind of preface this video with saying that I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I've seen all of his films, I've been reading his books, and I listen to his podcasts all the time. He is one of the primary inspirations for me to even having this channel and being comfortable talking about all these things that I enjoy: comic books, popular culture, films, and all that. He was one of the first people that I ran into growing up that really made me feel comfortable because I was raised in a household where it was tolerated, but not really encouraged for me to have these kinds of interests, or at least have them to the degree that I had them. And, coming across his works and how he integrated all that kind of stuff into his own world and really developed these characters that felt like people that I knew, that I was, and that I grew up with, aside from the stoner aspect, but really just the obsession with just popular and geek and nerd culture altogether. And it really just kind of honed in on what I was needing growing up. And I've just always respected him from there onward. And I've really loved these films and everything that he's brought to the table and just in general, love it. That aside, I think you kind of need a lot of that to really get the best out of this film. This movie is very much reliant not just on pop culture, but on your prior knowledge to the universe that it's set in. With the way they have this release schedule set up, it really kind of odes to the fact that this movie is really made for the people that have been following these films up until this point. He's got one of the earliest cinematic universes out there, only missing the mark, but thanks to Quentin Tarantino releasing his films in '92 and '94 with the creating that first initial link in the Tarantino universe. But then again, Kevin Smith does attribute getting the idea to even throw that concept into his films thanks to the Marvel comics. So there you go. You can kind of see like a circle, the circle of life, kind of fitting into this. But this movie does really have the DNA of the original. This movie originally was conceived with the idea, I was like, can I get away with making a reboot by just calling it a reboot and making just the exact same movie as Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back Again? It has the exact same inciting incident. It has the exact same plot and through point. The whole goal of the film is, once again, just like in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, is to stop a movie being made about them once again, except this time it is a reboot of the movie that they stopped to get made this time around. Now, that concept did kind of change a little bit after Kevin Smith's heart attack. It ended up still being that reboot kind of concept, and it really does play with the idea of sequels, remakes, and reboots, but it's also got a layer of legacy to it, because after Kevin Smith's heart attack, he really kind of was like, I feel like it put a different spin on his outlook on the script. He ended up rewriting it completely, and we got what we got now. There is definitely a layer of legacy and kind of setting up what you're leaving behind, or what you're setting up and helping grow and building. It is definitely a movie about legacy while still having all that raunchy humor throughout. This movie made me laugh so hard, and it also got me worked up. There's an emotional through line in this, in which we have Jay, played by Jason Mewes, who finds out he's a father. Now, I'm not going to go into any main spoilers. This is stuff that's in the trailers, so I'm not going to go any detailed spoilers or anything like that of the movie, so I don't think anybody needs to worry about that. His daughter in this, of course, played by Harley Quinn Smith, who is Kevin Smith's daughter. And he's been around since she was even born, so there's definitely a inherent chemistry between the two of them and pretty much everybody involved in this, and it really sells it. And maybe I just haven't seen Jason Mewes in anything in a long time. I mean, he's been in some indie films. He's even directed a film of his own, but I don't know if it's just pure his own like evolution as an actor, or if it's purely him having this existing chemistry with Harley Quinn in this film. But the emotion between those two, their performances, when it's not just poop humor, is actually really, really well done. Very well performed, and really surprised the crap out of me. I did not expect to get emotional in this movie at all. And I probably teared up at least maybe 3 or 4 times throughout this film. not only is this a character that kind of helps the characters of Jay and Silent Bob evolve and grow and kind of settle upon what their legacy is, this movie also has some little nuggets throughout, giving us a little bit of an epilogue to some of the earlier View Askew Universe films. This movie has essentially, I'm not going to ruin it, but I'm just going to say that some of the earlier View Askew Universe films, save for Clerks 2, I'll just go ahead and say Clerks 2 is pretty much just Clerks 2 still happened. But everything prior to that, there's a little bit, there's tiny little nuggets that kind of make this movie a mini epilogue for all of the prior films, Dogma, Mallrats, Chasing Amy. And there's just a lot of stuff sprinkled in throughout that really kind of adds to the universe as a whole. It's really interesting how it's interconnected this way. And it gives some closure on a lot of things that I really didn't think I needed closure on. And it was amazing. And I'm not going to go into any of the essential or fun little cameos that are sprinkled throughout. There's definitely some familiar faces. There's definitely a lot of new faces that Kevin Smith has met along the way that make their appearances in here. And this is just a blast from beginning to end. It's been a while since I've laughed and enjoyed myself this much in a theater. But again, I think this is completely reliant on prior knowledge of the View Askew universe. And there's so much meta humor in there. There's so much Kevin Smith shaming in this movie. Kevin Smith plays Kevin Smith plays Silent Bob, but also himself, Kevin Smith. And there's so much self-deprecation in this film, and he's always like that in his podcasts, in his talks, his presentations. Anytime he's talking about his career, anytime he's in an interview, he always just degrades himself for just to be the punchline of a joke, and it really works in a way. And this movie is just, there's a lot of meta layers throughout this film that really just rely on you being a fan of Kevin Smith and having this kind of knowledge to it. So this is really a movie that is made for a specific group of people. I don't think you can be somebody, I don't know for a fact that you can be you have no idea who Kevin Smith is. You've never seen a prior Jay and Silent Bob film and come into this and enjoy it. I'm sure you can kind of catch, I don't think you'll hate it, but I don't think you'll really appreciate it or come out of it being like, what did I just watch? Unless you've seen the other films and just know what's been going on around his career. That's all I can say to it. This movie is very targeted to a group of people that already follow this person and his career and these characters. That's it. This movie, I do not think can land with anybody outside of that bubble. And kind of for that reason, I kind of, it's still a rough around the edges movie. All of his films are, especially in this kind of tone that he's taken with these characters from the View Askew universe itself. And at the end of the day, if I have to rate this as just like a film itself, as a standalone film, this is like a 6, probably a 6 out of 10. Maybe not even that, but this movie as part of this universe and me as a fan, this is a 9. This is a 9. That's the difference in this. This movie is a 9 out of 10 for me as far as a fan of these films. But if you had nothing going into this and this movie standing on its own legs, it's like a 5 or a 6. But I love it. I love it to death. And I love this kind of I just love the attitude and the energy and the passion, because the passion is just all there and so apparent in this movie. And I had a blast. Stay through the credits if you get to see this. And that's one thing I'm not sure about is the release planning for this movie, because right now Fathom Events is the only way to see it right now. And that was on the 15th, which was today. And there's another showing on the 17th, but then that's it. And from that point, they are going on a road tour where they are going to different cities around the country, and I think Canada as well, to have live screenings with a Q&A and a panel. I tried to get into one of those, but the second the tickets went on sale, I just couldn't get a ticket. They were already sold out. So there's a little video that precedes this film that tries to kind of explain how the releases work. And the way it makes it seem is like each place they stop, that is when the film will actually start its theatrical run in that area. So it's kind of like going to be a staggered release, is what I'm gathering. So I don't know when any of you guys are going to be able to see it unless you've checked out the Fathom events at any of your theater participating theaters that have it set up. And I also don't know how that pertains to like areas where I live, because the closest place that they're stopping is like 4 or 5 hours away. And I don't know what that span of area is going to be for when that film goes live. I don't know if it'll even be here. This could just be like a limited run in those cities specifically where they're stopping. I have no idea who and where and how anybody else is going to see this except for through Fathom events. No idea. I have zero clue what the actual release plan is for this movie outside of the tour and these pre-showings. If you guys have any information on it more than what I got, I would appreciate just at least having a breakdown of it, because it just confuses the crap out of me. But if you did get to see it, definitely stay through the credits. There is a post-credit scene, but there's a lot of interesting little nuggets, cameos, deleted scenes, bloopers, and all kinds of fun stuff in the credits themselves. And this movie was just a ball to watch. I loved it to death. And again, from a biased party here, I did try to give you guys a non-biased score, which I did. I'd say is like a 5, 6. Again, if you're a Kevin Smith fan, if you're a fan of Jay and Silent Bob, this is like top tier 10, 9 territory here. Anyway, that's all I can say about this movie without going into any spoilers at all, and I don't want to. I'm probably going to try to see this again with my brother because he is also a huge fan of this universe. He's got a much better memory than I do. He can quote almost the script for Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back from beginning to end, almost without having to look at it or have it. So I'm going to see if I can catch it again. The 17th, they're having a double feature where you can watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and then Reboot right after. So we're going to try to catch that. If we do, maybe I'll have a review and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, guys, that is it for now. If you've seen it, which I doubt, I don't know how you would unless you, again, caught the Fathom events. If you've seen this film, if you're looking forward to see this film, or if you just kind of want to ask me anything about it or kind of carry on some kind of conversation related to this review, again, this is so weird because I don't know how it's going to be released and I don't know who, when, and how anybody sees this. Again, I'm just repeating myself because I'm just so confused by this little concept anyway. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I want to know your thoughts down in the comments. If you like this video, support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.